The world was shocked when Kim Seokjin, or better known as JIN from BTS, made a comment that not only shocked fans, but also provoked a sharp reaction from various circles of South Korean society. In an open-ended interview after completing his military service, JIN made a heartbreaking confession. "There are days when I question everything. My body was strong, but my mentality was tested to a point I had never experienced before." The statement immediately sparked a national debate. Many called it an honest reflection of the harshness of military life, but others considered it an inappropriate act of a public figure who should set an example. Is JIN just voicing personal pain, or does he reveal the dark side of the military system that has been tightly closed? When JIN, the multi-talented idol of the world's most influential music group, finally completes his military service, many expect him to return with a triumphant smile and a spirit of nationalism. But instead, what happens is a piece of bitter truth that is not filtered and conveyed directly to the public. "I don't want to look weak, but the truth is that not all days I can go through with full strength. There are long nights of silence and pressure that is not visible but continues to squeeze," JIN said in an exclusive interview session that took place just a few days after officially completing his military service. The statement immediately went viral. Within 24 hours, the interview quote had been shared more than 8 million times on domestic and international social media. But it was not only the virality that shocked the public, but the content of the statement itself. JIN's words became the subject of heated discussion, not only in fan forums, but also in the halls of military and social policy debates. Many social observers considered that JIN was voicing unrest that had never been publicly expressed by South Korean public figures. In a culture that upholds unyielding attitudes and military honor, recognition of mental difficulties in compulsory military service is taboo, even considered to undermine the national spirit. JIN decided to speak up. He is not just expressing his feelings, he is opening a national conversation, said Professor Kang Min-ju from the Department of Sociology of Yonsei University. And that's very important, because for too long we have been silent on mental health issues among soldiers. However, not all parties welcomed JIN's statement positively. Some conservative figures and retired military men called the comments unwise and potentially demoralizing for the younger generation. There were even calls from certain groups for JIN to provide clarification, or even an apology for spreading negative messages about military service. But on the other hand, the mental health community and human rights activists regard JIN as an important voice that has been silenced. They call JIN's bravery a form of resistance to toxic narratives around masculinity, power, and the obligations of the state. As the polemic spread, local and international media began to dissect JIN's interview in more depth. They tried to find out what kind of experience JIN had during military training, especially as a world-class celebrity who had to give up all privileges to integrate into a strict system. Some reports say that JIN received no special treatment, even choosing to undergo the same strenuous program as the other soldiers. This makes the physical and mental stress he feels even more authentic. He was even assigned to a region with extreme training terrain, which, according to a number of reports, requires not only physical strength, but also high psychological endurance. "I learned a lot. I appreciate this country more than ever. But I also feel that many things need to be improved, especially about the mental support for those who undergo this task," said JIN. These remarks sparked another debate. Is it time for South Korea to review their approach to conscription? Has the state paid enough attention to the mental distress experienced by soldiers, especially the young? Some observers say that the JIN's experience is a reflection of a reality that has not been seen. With its global influence, the genie has turned the spotlight to the side that has been in the shadows for so long. The world is now seeing that behind the pride of serving one's country, there are also wounds that need to be understood, dealt with, and discussed openly. Jin's statement also left his fans' army divided. Many supported and appreciated the honesty of the idol. They cited Jin as a real example of courage, not for hiding a wound, but for daring to express that pain honestly. But a small number of others feel the statement should not be made in public, especially by a figure who has millions of followers around the world. International media also reported on the controversy. The Guardian, the New York Times, and even CNN highlighted how a single statement from a K-pop artist is capable of shaking up South Korea's domestic cultural and political fabric. CNN called the phenomenon a cultural shockwave, describing how the world is now witnessing a clash between conservative military traditions and more open, modern mental health narratives. IT should be noted. This is not the first time a Korean celebrity has raised the issue of the difficulty of conscription. But only this time, a person with as much influence as Jin did it directly and straightforwardly, without further ado, without being wrapped in euphemisms. And that changed everything. Now that more than 2 weeks have passed since the interview, the South Korean government has begun to receive pressure from the public and media to strengthen mental health support programs for soldiers. In fact, some lawmakers from opposition parties began to voice the need for reform of the military training system, stressing that mental strength should receive an equivalent portion of attention as physical strength. Jin himself has not given any further response after the controversial statement. But his agency, HYB, released a statement asserting that Jin was merely relaying his personal experience, with no intention of attacking any institution or system. They also added that Jin hopes his statement can be part of a broader discussion about the importance of empathy in public service. Although the storm of debate has not subsided, one thing is now clear. Jin has turned a new page in the discourse of conscription in South Korea. And as always, when the genie speaks, the world listens. A voice that began with personal sincerity has now become a collective echo that shakes the fabric of the national narrative. The question is the nation ready to listen and make a change? Or will Jin's comment be just one note in the history of celebrity controversy? Time will tell. But for now, Jin has dared to reveal an invisible wound. And that was the beginning of something much bigger than just one statement. The event, which became the subject of widespread discussion on various social media platforms such as TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and other digital media, has attracted massive public attention. But behind the virality, a fundamental question arises that deserves to be pondered together. Is all this information circulating true? Or is it just a carefully designed scenario to attract the attention of the masses? First of all, we need to note that most of the scattered narratives tend to be wrapped in emotions, be it admiration, surprise, to anger. Often, the public is so quick to respond to information without clarifying or in-depth checking of the original source. Does this show how easily the public gets dragged into the flow of hype constructed by social media algorithms? We also have to ask, why do events like this always appear at certain times? Does its emergence coincide with a strategic momentum, such as the launch of an album, a collaboration project, or a specific corporate interest? Maybe what looks like a spontaneous event has actually gone through careful planning to create a designed viral effect. For example, when a short video features gestures or emotional reactions from a public figure, then accompanied by dramatic narration and visual effects that lead to perception, we must ask, is it a reflection of reality? Or is it the result of deliberate framing? We remind that most of the information we present comes from compilations of user content on TikTok, video uploads from YouTube, speculation from netizens on Twitter, and articles from digital entertainment media. However, it is worth highlighting that not all of these contents can be ascertained to be true. Therefore, we must respond to it with a skeptical, rational, and non-reactive frame of mind. Let's reflect more deeply. Does the short viral video really represent the whole context of what happened? Why is there no official statement from the relevant parties if indeed the event is as significant and dramatic as described? Who benefits most from this viral issue? Public figures? Agency? Media platforms?